Well, good morning and welcome to the masterclass. It's so good to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Trevor. Good morning to you.
Hi, Ellen. How are you going?
Yeah, good. Thank you. We've got
That's
people
good.
joining us right now, more people joining the webinar. For those of you who are just joining us now, can you find your chat button and say a quick hello to Trevor and I so that we know that you can see and hear us? I can see lots of names appearing. Alison, Ashley, Jess. Excellent. Joe, I can see. Excellent. Hello, hello. We got lots of
Hi,
hellos.
everyone. Thank you to those WA people who woke up early for this as well.
Thank you so much. Good to see you all here. All right, we're going to get started in just one moment, but the chat is going to be where you can chat to Trevor and I. If you've got questions as we're going through, you can drop them in here. We are going to have time for Q&A at the very end. If we see an opportunity to answer your questions as we're working through the webinar, we certainly will, but if we miss you, we'll come back to your questions at the end of the session. So it's so great to have you here. Awesome. Let's get started. So welcome to our masterclass on the rent roll growth that is hiding in your inbox. Let's jump in. This is all you, Trevor.
Okay, yeah. So I suppose what we've done is we've noticed that a lot of emails these days are not being opened. And unfortunately, if your emails are not being opened, then that means you're not able to grow your rent roll or identify opportunities that could be hiding within that email list. So just sending out emails for the sake of it is not a good exercise. It's just taking up space and you're wasting a lot of time. So today we're going to try and help you fix this. And I suppose why would Ellen and I want to do this type of webinar with you? I suppose for me personally, I'd like to help raise the standard of email communications that are coming out of a real estate office. And in this particular case, we want to use that knowledge to try and help you grow your rent roll using email marketing. The first point of call to get any success with this is to make sure that our subject lines are working. So if your subject lines are too generic, they don't spark curiosity, they're not going to get open, then your message is not going to get through. So what we're noticing these days is there's a lot of email that's looking quite generic, quite bland, and it's normally due to just email blasts that are happening within offices. So we want to try and make it more focused, make it more relevant, make it more consistent, and help you identify those opportunities that are definitely hiding within your email list, especially with regards to rent rolls.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Ellen.
And what we're going to give you today, because subject lines are one of, if not the most important part of your email marketing strategy, we're going to give you a document that contains 27 property management focused subject lines that perform at 90% or above on subjectline.com.au. So if you are not using subjectline.com, sorry, not .au, just subjectline.com. If you're not using that tool already, can you just write that down? Maybe open up another browser, type in subjectline.com. It's a really cool tool to help you test different subject lines and look at how they score so that you can get better open rates. So we're going to actually give you a document that contains 27 subject lines that you can plug and play, you can copy, you can use for yourself, and we'll give you access to that in a little bit of time. Trevor.
Yeah, so why your email list? And a lot of people probably don't give it the importance that it deserves. It's something that you literally own. It's your only true marketing asset. The thing with social media, which is a great channel for advertising and promoting yourself, the rules with social media can change in terms of the algorithm changing, or if you're employing an advertising campaign, once that budget is spent, that's it. Those posts go away. They're not being seen. Whereas your email list is direct access to your contact base, be they clients, prospective clients, so forth. So that email list really should be nurtured and should be grown over time, and you will definitely reap the benefits of that by just engaging with it, tapping into it and letting people know that you're available there to help them.
Yeah, exactly. Before we jump in, we thought it'd be useful. A lot of you probably know Trevor and I, but if you don't, we thought it'd be nice to get to actually introduce ourselves. My name is Ellen. I'm the founder of Content Collab. My background is property management. I started in property management when I was 18, 19 years old, shortly after buying my first investment property. And I've started, grown, sold a rent roll, and now I get to help you with your content marketing. So while I love social media and helping you create content for social media, one of the key pillars for all of our clients is creating at least a monthly marketing email campaign so that you are communicating with your database on a regular basis. So I'm just really passionate about using communication channels that you actually own. Even though social media is amazing, it's not the platform you own, and that's why I love marketing emails. Trevor.
Yeah, well, for those people who might have been around a while, they might know me. I'm the head of sales at Phoenix Software, and we help real estate agencies with their CRMs and websites. I've got over close to 30 years experience in the prop tech space, and I've mainly specialized in CRM, email marketing, and the website solutions. And I was thinking this morning, Ellen, I think I've sent over 1 million email marketing campaigns, or not emails, via campaigns over the years. And with each of these businesses that I help grow in the prop tech space, I really relied on email and phone call follow-up as the way for me to generate that new business. It was my primary marketing channel. And as I said, it's because it was the most direct. And it's one that I firmly believe in. And I think people can get a lot of business out of nurturing those lists that they've been curating over time.
Exactly. So today what we're going to be covering is why email still works. We're going to talk about subject lines that help people actually open your emails. We're going to talk about what to send and also when to send it. We're going to talk about tracking and looking at the results you're getting from your email marketing. And we'll also talk through how to get the most out of your CRM. Trevor has a lot of experience in this space. So whether you're a Phoenix user at the moment or not, Trevor's going to be able to bring some insight into how to get the most out of your CRM. We are also going to stay back and do live Q&A, so you'll probably be with us for about 40, 45 minutes, but Trevor and I will hang around until we've answered all of your questions. So we are recording this. If you can't stay till the very end, we'll be able to send you the replay afterwards. So hang with us for as long as you can. If you've got questions, drop them in the chat. And we'll make sure we answer them, even if you have to leave early. So let's talk through why email still works, Trevor.
Yeah, well, as we alluded to, it's something that you actually own. It can't be taken away from you. And it's something that you can really nurture over time. The other benefit is it goes directly to people's inboxes. Unlike, on social media, you might post something and then people flick through it very quickly. Whereas with the email, it goes to the inbox. A lot of people do save their emails to review at a later time. People are starting to block out times in their day for reading emails. So it can sit there, it can be stored away to be referred to later. And people are still checking their emails. So, I know what I do. I check it probably every couple of minutes. When a new one comes in, I get a ding. But it's still an effective means of marketing. People are checking their emails. And it's very easy to personalize as well, especially if you're using a CRM or an email marketing tool. You can get very personal with those emails, even though they might be going out in bulk. They can be highly personal, which resonates with those people, and it helps engage with them. And as Ellen will share with you, it actually has one of the highest return on investments compared to other marketing channels. So it's something you should really consider as being a big part of your marketing campaigns.
Yeah, so according to Litmus, the email return on investment is between $10 and $36 for every dollar spent on email marketing. When you compare that to your ROI on social media, partly it's a little harder to measure because some of your content might be organic, and so you're not actually able to track results from it. If you're running ads, you probably can track exact return on investment, but email has this incredibly high ROI, and that's why they work so well together. Having email and social media as part of your marketing strategy is what makes your marketing stronger.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're probably looking at a two-pronged process, using social to get that great first contact, get the leads in, but then after that we use email to then educate them on your service or how you can help them. And the beauty of email is you can spend a bit more time. You've got more space to work with. You can put more information into that message rather than a social post, which is typically quite short. And then through sequences and email nurturing, we can take those people on a journey with us, and we can educate them, because not everyone is ready to do business with you today, but one day in the future they might, and we want you to be top of mind for when that time comes. And by having a regular email campaign where your name always pops into their inbox once a month, once a fortnight, whatever it might be, you're going to put yourself at a big advantage to those that don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So email works really well for obviously your property related content. And Trevor's going to talk a little bit later about how to hijack your little property updates, which is a really cool thing that I didn't know about. But property updates, obviously all of your vendor and landlord communications. You can also be looking at how you're communicating with your tenants, because some of your content is useful for tenants as well, but then also your landlord education. So what we're thinking about is, how are we adding value on a regular basis to our database, remembering that our database includes our existing clients, our past clients, and our prospective clients. So it works for all of those areas. But of course, none of this actually matters if your email doesn't get opened.
Yeah, and that all starts with the subject line. So it's the first thing that people see, and if we're talking about growing the rent roll, it's the first thing that your prospective landlords will see as well. So if you're putting out a very weak or a bland or boring subject line, it just will not get read. So the idea of the subject line is that it's going to set the expectation of what's within that email. And the best way to do that is to create a subject line that is short, it's benefit driven, and you will see an increase in open rates. The other strategy you can employ is to create intrigue. Make them want to have a look. Give them something that's of interest and enticing for them to open it. So I think we've got some stats on, how they can increase the open rates by having good subject lines.
Yeah, so personalizing your subject lines increase your open rates. And what we're talking about is just adding their first name can personalize it enough to increase those open rates. So almost all CRMs have the capacity for you to put a merge field with their first name somewhere in the subject line to help increase your open rates.
Well, now for those who are still with us, which is great, thank you. We're putting the free download of the 27 subject lines that score over 90% on subjectline.com into the chat. So if you want to go into the chat and download that doc, you'll be able to see all of those. But while people are doing that, I thought I'd highlight 3 that I thought really stood out to me as being really great subject lines. One of them was 3 facts every landlord should know. Now, I love that because it creates intrigue. And if I'm a landlord, I need to know the 3 facts that everyone should know, and I might be missing out. So I think that one is fantastic. The content that follows, you could put in some different things in there, but I think that's a really good subject line. The other one I noticed was, could you add $50 to $100 a week to your rent? That's a really great question. I don't know any landlord that would say no to that, but how do I do it? So again, what it's doing is it's creating intrigue, and it's a really great question that would entice someone to continue reading. And the other one that I noticed was a landlord's $8,000 mistake. Don't let it be you. Now, landlords do not want big mistakes that cost money. So again, that is a great subject line. That would definitely stand out in your inbox. And it's something that, yeah, you would definitely, if you're a landlord, you would want to avoid that mistake. So it's well worth reading. So they're just simple examples as to how you can mix up the message and get a better response and a better open rate on the emails you're sending out.
Beautiful. And for those of you who are with us live, I've dropped the link to the Google Doc. What I am going to ask you to do is jump into the chat, click on that Google Doc right now, go File, make a copy so that you can keep a copy for yourself. And can you comment in the chat done when you've got that? Because I just want to make sure you've got that now. Excellent, Lorraine, you've got it. Beautiful. Just want to make sure that before we carry on, you've got that, because this is a little bonus that we're only giving to people who show up live. The people who get the replay don't get the little bonus. So Lynn, Priscilla, Julie, excellent. So pleased. So let's talk about pre-headers. Now, this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot when it comes to helping to improve your open rate, but your pre-header is actually the short little bit of text that often appears under your subject line. So you know how when you open up an email or you're in your inbox on your phone, you've got the subject line, but there's a little bit of text, and it might be the start of the email, or it might be the pre-header. So this is prime real estate to increase your opens. So what you want to be thinking about is your subject line, but also your pre-header. So Trevor, I think you've got some interesting information around pre-headers.
Yeah, it is an unknown with a lot of people because unfortunately the CRM program they're using doesn't include a pre-header option. But as Ellen said, it's really great tool to use because it can help improve your open rates. It's giving you an extra bit of space where you can present your message. So basically, if you think about it, it acts like a secondary subject line. And it's not meant to copy your main subject line. It's meant to enhance that subject line. So, the example that we just looked at, could you add $50 to $100 a week to your rent? Now, a pre-header for something like that could be discover how simple property tweaks and expert management can increase your returns without costly renovations. So it's enhancing that initial message. And then once again, giving people enough to say, yeah, that email's worth reading. So check out the tool you're using for sending out your emails and definitely include preview texts for your next campaigns.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of little tricks with your subject line is you just want to keep it relatively short because a lot of emails are being opened on a smaller mobile device. So you can't, if you have too long a subject line, it gets cut off. So you want to keep it relatively short. I love creating curiosity. You also still need to match the email content. So you can create curiosity and your subject line has nothing to do with what's inside the email. And that's a surefire way of getting an unsubscribe and maybe even marked as spam. So you still need to match the email content. And you also just need to be careful about using spammy words. So there are certain words that some email service providers don't like allowing in. Even the word free in your subject line can be a little bit spammy. So if you are offering a free appraisal or a free investment portfolio check, sometimes that can land you in the spam folders. So just keep that in mind when you're writing your subject lines.
Just on that point, and it's the like spammy subject lines, and I've seen a lot of agents it happen to them when they're promoting their listings. They overuse dollar symbols in even the headline or even in the subject line. So the headline of the property they're pushing out has dollar signs in the headline. That unfortunately is read by the email providers, and they're flagging it as spam, unfortunately. So yeah, try and avoid words like free. Replace it with words like complimentary or things like that, but just be very conscious because an ad you're posting on a portal might not work in email as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such gold.
Yeah. So once your email is open, then what do we send these people? And it's really coming back to the content of the email. And as Ellen said, the content has to reflect what is in the subject line. Otherwise, you will be penalized. So if we look at it for property management, growing the rent roll, good pieces of content could include market updates, especially what's happening in your local area for prospective landlords. Even case studies of maybe landlords achieving great returns on their investment and what they did to get those, or avoiding some of those costly mistakes that we mentioned earlier with the examples. So people like reading about case studies and seeing how you might have helped a client get a better return or avoid a mistake. For your more experienced investors, things like, maximizing the rental income or reducing risk or depreciation information, that's always really worthwhile. And then, of course, you've always got the option to invite people to get a free updated rental appraisal of their property or other properties they own. So, time goes by very quickly, markets change, rents go up and down. It's always good to be able to offer them the opportunity to get an updated rental appraisal.
Yeah, exactly. So certainly a lot of our clients are sending educational tips, so single topic marketing emails where we're just talking about one single topic. I know that a lot of our clients are also sending like a monthly newsletter that contains a few different articles, a little bit of an update, maybe even some sponsored content from some of their referral partners. But also, obviously, you're going to be using your email CRM to update new property listings, as Trevor mentioned, market updates. Just make sure that you're looking at only sending the content to the people who are interested in the content. So don't blast new property listings to everybody unless you know that they're an active buyer. So be looking for opportunities to be communicating with your database on a regular basis using some or all of these strategies.
And that leads us into one area that we get a lot of use of, or I suppose it's probably one of the most primary tools for email marketing, is what's called an auto response. And this has become quite popular with all CRMs, especially if you're advertising your properties for rent or even for sale, having an auto response. So when someone inquires, the system will automatically respond with another piece of information or a thank you, or sending them somewhere else where they can get more information on those properties. So we've noticed that an auto response will get around about a 70% open rate. So the reason for that is people are expecting it, because if I'm inquiring, I'm expecting an agent to maybe get back to me either on an appraisal or a property I've inquired on. So they're expecting that email back from you or a contact from you. And they are expecting a quick reply as well. We live in the modern day where, we want things quickly. We've got Ubers where we can get food delivered in 5 minutes and things like that. So there's this expectation these days for a quick response. And it's also a confirmation too. If someone wants to download something, a resource that you're providing them, they are expecting that email to come very quickly so that they can get the information that you've been offering them. So that's why we're seeing those high open rates on those types of campaigns. But definitely they are worthwhile. Definitely turning on within your CRM and making sure that, they're working and they're relevant to the action of the email. Now, within those emails, what we can also do is include a call to action or a next step for that person. So some very simple examples, and you can see in what we've got on the mobile phone there. You could put this maybe above your signature or just below your signature. It's always the opportunity for a free rental appraisal, or maybe a guide that they can download for investing. Or maybe you might be running something like this, like a webinar or an information evening for property investors. Use that space within the email to have people be able to click and get that additional information. And always, if you're doing blog posts or articles of interest, you could link off to those resources as well. So the thing is, these emails are yours. You can include what you want in those. It's just thinking outside the square a little bit.
Oh, you kind of covered that, Trevor. Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't switch over to the next slide in time.
No, that's all right. So I suppose if we look at a typical example, so you have a buyer that attends an inspection, normally for sale, but they are normally being asked, are you looking to live in it? Are you looking to rent it? What are you looking to do? You're monitoring the market. Now, a lot of people are investing. So, if you do have a sales team, you should be getting your salespeople to ask the buyers, what are they doing? And then you should be talking to them about getting that referral so that you can introduce the property management service. So if they are investing, we could include a next step with an email with a rental estimate on the property that they've inquired on, or even other properties they might be interested in as well. It's not always limited to just that one property. Also, you could use that space to download a landlord insights report. So again, another helpful resource for people looking at investing. Now, the point I want to make is these are your emails. You can do whatever you want with them. No one says you can't do this. You can do what you want. And I think what we need to do as an industry, because a lot of us are using CRMs or pre-built templates that are all the same. They all look the same and they don't stand out. So you should, and I applaud you for coming to this webinar, because you're going to get an insight that'll allow you to stand out from your competition. So just remember, there's no rules. Think outside the square, and don't just rely on the standard templates that CRM providers like us give you. Push the limit on those things.
Yeah, exactly. The thing you probably want to think about now is when to send emails. So when you're thinking about when you should be sending your emails, this is how I like to think about it. If someone has submitted an inquiry, then you want an automatic instant response. So that might be an inquiry on buying an investment property. It's obviously also an inquiry from a tenant who is inquiring on a rental property. And you're probably already doing that. You probably already have all of that automation built into your CRM. But also you need an instant response if someone has requested a lead magnet. I call it a lead magnet. So it might be an investor insight report. It might be a guide on how to prepare your family home to turn it into a rental property. It's just a guide, a checklist, a free piece of information that you're offering, usually in exchange for their email address. But at this point, you might already have their email address. But if you don't, then you need to be responding to that instantly. So you need your automation set up, and you should be talking to your CRM provider on how to set that up so that any inquiry gets an instant response, at least initially. Then you want to be programming your CRM so that you have some follow-up happening 1 to 2 days later. So if they've downloaded an investor insights report, you want to automatically follow them up via email 1 to 2 days later. And potentially then 1 to 2 days later after that, and maybe a week after that, you might have an entire campaign built out so that you're following them up, so that if there's an opportunity to either book a rental appraisal, book a property investment audit, that you're asking for that opportunity to actually get them on the phone or get them on Zoom or get in person with them. But of course, if they don't convert in that time, either because they haven't bought an investment property yet or they're just not ready to make the change, then you want to be sending something at least monthly. For many of our clients, it's more than once a month, but at least monthly. And it should be something valuable. It might be market insights, it might be a link to your latest article, it might be a link to your latest video, but it's adding value to your audience.
Definitely. And what we've got here is just an example of the types of campaigns that you could set up. And we're not suggesting you have to do all 5 that are there, but I would definitely encourage you to do at least 2 to 3 of these. So the first one could be like a weekly tip, and that could even coincide with maybe something you're doing on your social media as well. The idea of the tip, it's meant to be short, sweet, to the point, with a call to action. So that's something you could send out. As Ellen said, the monthly article at a minimum. And that could be a feature article. Once again, that could be an article that you put on your website as a blog post. And then in the email, you're not putting in the whole message. You're just wanting to put in maybe the introduction with a click through to your website, because we want to drive all that traffic back to your website where you have your appraisal forms and all the other information. So try and keep those messages short and to the point with very clear calls to actions. We mentioned the auto responses. That'll be set up as part of your CRM and typically with listings. So those auto responses are happening, but also on check your appraisal forms on your website as well. A lot of people get caught out not knowing that their form does not work. So go and check your own forms, go fill in the details, make sure that the email goes through to you and that there is actually an automatic reply saying that someone will be in touch. The quarterly landlord check-in. So this could be something for your existing clients or for other prospective landlords, just checking in quarterly. How's it going? Do you want an updated rental appraisal? Things are happening in the area. Those types of campaigns are definitely worthwhile, and they can be set up within your CRM to go out automatically. And the other one, which has come about recently and a lot of people wanting to do, it's called the nurture sequence, and email is very much used for that. If you have a prospective landlord, and if you think about it, they're probably going to do something in a fairly short period of time, 3 to 6 months, I would say. So a fortnightly campaign to them based around their problem would really help. So you've got to identify what their problem is, and you should have some content that will help explain to them how you fix that problem, and just set it up to go out fortnightly. And in between those, as Ellen said, you might have a follow-up 1 to 2 days later, but I would encourage you to follow up those ones that start to engage, and we're going to get into that very shortly.
Yeah, because I think it's so easy to think about email as like this great big blast to your database. And sure, we're adding value and we're educating and all of that, but email can be a conversation. So asking questions, inviting replies is how you actually start to have conversations with people in your database. But also getting replies from your email blasts helps to improve your domain reputation. So if you're sending a bunch of emails from abcrealty.com.au, all of the email service providers are checking to see if you're spamming people. But if they notice that people are replying to your emails, they will recognize that, oh no, this is an account, this is a domain that has a decent reputation that people are actually interested in engaging with. So it helps improve your domain reputation, but it also actually takes people to the next step. So asking and inviting replies is such a great way to take people from just being on your database to actually being people that you're in conversation with.
I think it's a great strategy too, because these days people are very concerned about clicking links as well. So just asking for a simple reply or asking a question at the end of your email is it's a very good strategy. And it's low pressure as well for a lot of people, and they're probably more likely to do a quick reply to you. That's great. So you've sent the email. How do you know if it does work? So tracking those replies is definitely one of those ways to be able to see if your email campaign has worked. Do include links, or maybe even if you're doing a big campaign out, you might decide to set up a dedicated phone number for people to call so that you can track the number of calls coming from that campaign. And you can also use things like landing pages. Landing pages, if you think about it, are like an appraisal form on your website. It's an online page that has certain information on it specific to a topic or a resource or something like that. So you could put a link to those landing pages, and then with your website provider or using Google Analytics, you'll be able to tell what the engagement was of the people going from the email to the landing page. And you can track these responses manually after each send as well. A quick search on the subject line within your email browser will show you how that campaign went as well. So there's a couple of ways you can go about getting that information.
And this is always the biggest thing for me, when I'm looking at either my own email campaigns or campaigns that we're setting up for our clients, replies are the easiest measure of engagement. If people are coming back to you going, oh my goodness, that was so useful, or thank you so much for this, or oh my goodness, I've been through the same situation with my investment property, you don't need a dashboard for that. That tells you that you have created something that they care about. So even if you are not tracking anything else, Trevor will talk about tracking in just a moment, but even if you're not tracking anything else, pay attention to who's replying to you and continue that conversation. That is like the easiest thing to determine how your email marketing is landing.
That's right. And you don't need over-the-top tools to do this either. A simple spreadsheet is enough for you to be able to start to track your email campaign engagement. So if you set up a simple spreadsheet, you might have the subject line, the topic of the campaign, and just a number for the number of replies. And then over time, you'll be able to see what campaigns are working, which ones didn't work well, which ones, got a great response. And yeah, just use a simple spreadsheet to be able to do that. If you are using a CRM or an email marketing solution, those reports will be available to you in their system. So what we've got here are a couple of examples of something that might get a high reply versus something that might not get a good reply. And I like how we've shown you how it presents on a mobile device, because this is really important. So one thing that I feel works really well is using imagery within your emails. So in that first example there, you can see a nice photo of the property. You can also see some emojis in the subject line as well, and clear links for people to click within that email. If you compare that to the second one, which is very text heavy, and I actually borrowed this as an example from a local agent that has been sending me, even though it says monthly, he's been sending me a weekly newsletter, and that intro has not changed in 10 years over every week. Now, it works because I know his name, because he sends on a regular basis. So that part works. He's very consistent in what he does, but what he's doing is he's actually wasting a lot of email space by putting in a message that I'm sure no one is reading, whereas we'd be more interested in getting to the heart of the email, which could be the listings or the content or the resource that they're providing. So be very conscious of that. And about 60% of people first check emails on their mobile phones. So you've got to ensure that these emails present well on a mobile device. And I would encourage you to check your own emails on a mobile device before you send it out. It just has to work. People might not necessarily read the whole email straight away, but they'll store it. They won't swipe and delete it. So really important that you do that. Now, what we also have as tools to show you how your campaign is going is based on clicks, okay? So we know that opens are important to get interest, but then what we want is clicks. We want to have really good click-through rates, okay? So again, with click-through rates or click-throughs, offering something that would interest that person, maybe with a listing, for example, it could be a link to the property on the website. So again, don't give them all the information on the property. We want to encourage them to click through to find out more information. The resource, again, the free download, don't give them everything in that email. Make them click and go through. And when we're using software programs, we can actually track those clicks, and then we can even enroll those people in a follow-up campaign as well based on that engagement. So by using software to do that, it can really help identify those leads and then nurture those leads.
So something you'll probably want to look at is just comparing your open rates, your reply rates, and your click-through rate. So if you're noticing things like you're getting a lot of people opening an email, but they're not either replying to it, if that's what you've asked for, or clicking on a link, then it probably means your subject line was good, but whatever your call to action was, whether it was hit reply or click the link, that probably means that that call to action wasn't great. Now, if you're not getting decent open rates, then that means that for sure it's a subject line problem. It could be a domain reputation issue, like if you've got issues with spamming in the past, or your domain has not been set up correctly for your email CRM, but your CRM provider will probably help get that set up correctly. But if you're getting low open rates, it's a problem with your subject line. And if you're getting higher open rates, but they're not taking the next step, then you need to look at improving your call to action.
Definitely. And one other way that we can improve our open rates and also our click-through rates is making sure that we're sending the right message to the right group of people. So if we're thinking about growing the rent roll and the types of investors that we're talking to, you're looking at first-time investors or landlords, and they're normally wanting guidance or checklists or things like that to help them with their first property investment. Then you've got people like experienced investors who might have multiple properties. So that, again, is a different conversation or different information that you'd be sending to them compared to a first-time investor. You've got those accidental landlords, people who've inherited properties or they're moving interstate and they've got to rent their property out for a period of time. That comes with its own situations, and you can help those people through those periods. Or you've just got maybe disgruntled investors, they haven't heard from their property manager in years and they're just not happy with them. So we can actually, using a CRM, we can group these people together and then send them relevant messaging based on their needs.
So the next slide. There you go.
Thanks, Ellen. So what it means is when you're using a CRM solution, you can have all that data stored in one place. So you don't have a separate spreadsheet of names and phone numbers. You don't have your email templates in a Google Doc Drive or anything like that. You can literally have all of that in the one place, which means it makes it a lot easier to be able to put a campaign together and send it out. It also means that you can separate those groups of people. So I just want to target my first-time investors. I've got this great resource I want to send to them, and really there's no point sending that out to an experienced investor. So you can group those people together, you can personalize the information that goes out, and then you can even enroll them in a nurture sequence. So that information or similar information is drip fed to them over time. And the other thing, by using a CRM to do this, it reduces duplication. And it even still happens in current CRMs where you've got multiple contacts, but by using a CRM, it can reduce that. And the other big thing that I find really helpful is if you start engaging with that contact, your CRM will have a full history of everything that's happened with that person over time. So you can see past emails, you can see that engagement. For me personally, and I know I'm talking to real estate agents, and I do, if you are engaging with me, I look at the history and I can get an indication as to what you might be interested in by reading the engagement of those emails. So it'll work the same for you guys, but a CRM, can make that easier for you to get that information in one spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've seen a couple of questions have come through. I'll hold them till the end, but I can see that we have had questions come in, so we'll come back to your questions. Something that you want to prioritize is making sure that you've got your automated triggered emails all set up so that if someone requests an appraisal, inquires on a property, wants a checklist or a landlord insights report or whatever you're giving away as what I would call a lead magnet, so that these responses happen automatically. You do not want to be sending these manually. And also people expect, as Trevor said, people expect that you are going to get back to them instantly because we know that automation exists. So we know that if we click a button to say, I want that free report, we expect that within a couple of minutes, the free report will be sitting in our inbox.
That's right. So what you can see here is a situation in our CRM where you can actually set up custom fields for the various landlords that you're wanting to target. And everyone's different. People work in different markets, dealing with different types of landlords. So you really want to be able to customize your CRM to suit your business as well. So the example I've got here is my first time investor again. And, they're needing a lot of resources, a lot of help, a lot of hand holding through that process. So I would be sending out to them a lot of guides, a lot of checklists, things like that. But for my more experienced investors, I might take a different track. I might be sending them, information on yields and growth rates and CoreLogic data and videos from CoreLogic about what's happening in the Sydney market overall. Of course, that's the type of information that's relevant to those people. So again, using your CRM, that can help you set up those workflows and nurture sequences that are relevant to the types of landlords that you want to target. And then with the tracking, so when the campaigns are going out, you'll be able to see the status of those campaigns, how many were actually delivered. And this is another good point, because if you've been sitting on data for a while, a lot of those email addresses would no longer exist, or people have moved from their jobs or things like that. So you really need to look at the delivery rate. What percentage of the 1,000 emails that you sent out were actually delivered? Was it 80%? So you've got some dirty data sitting in there. But again, that is always a good opportunity to maybe ring someone up and say, hey, I tried to send you something. Your email bounced. Oh, I've changed jobs. Great. What are you doing? And that starts the conversation. So, looking at these reports, not just concentrating on the clicks and the opens, which are obviously your best chance at getting more leads and more prospects, but also using the negatives as a positive, calling anything that bounced or anyone that even unsubscribed. I've got agents who call their unsubscribes because they ask, why did you unsubscribe? Well, I just bought something, or I'm no longer interested, or I sold it, or whatever it might be. At least you find out the reason why, and you can update your CRM, or you can take them out of the CRM altogether. And then following up, how do we follow up? So within CRMs, and if they do have a level of automation with them, not just can they send out those emails on a regular basis, but they could also run what we call if scenarios. So if someone clicks or opens your email a certain number of times, it can trigger a task reminder for the agent to follow that person up. Because let's face it, everyone's busy. Everyone's not sitting there reading their email marketing campaigns. So by having these automated task reminders going into your tasks section in your CRM can make it really easy for you to do those follow-ups and only concentrate on those people that are most engaged. So that's really something you should be looking at if your CRM has any level of automation, is the automatic task follow-up based on email communications or engagement.
Yeah, so one thing you're wanting to make sure you're paying attention is just knowing what your best subject lines and your best campaigns are. In the same way that we look at social media content and we notice, oh, video maybe is performing better for you than a static image, or maybe a carousel is performing better than video. You'll probably notice that with your social media. You're going to apply the same concept here so that you're noticing what are the subject lines that get opened, what are the campaigns that have engagement, interest, good click-through, good response rates, so that you can see what your audience or what your database responds to.
Yeah. So I thought what we might do is run through a typical process of a situation where maybe a buyer might identify themselves as an investor. They come into the office as a buying inquiry, but they've put their hand up and said, I'm actually looking to invest. But it works the same way as if someone fills in maybe, or they want a rental appraisal on their property. So the person can be automatically added into the CRM from the form that they fill in or from the portal that they inquire on. The system will then send an automatic response back to them, thanking them for taking the time to inquire, and we'll be in touch with you shortly. From there, that person can also be enrolled in a nurture sequence. If they're an investor and us knowing that, we put them into a group automatically, and then they are enrolled in that sequence where every 2 weeks they are getting some information about our service. So that will just continue. That nurture sequence will continue until such time as they then take the action to maybe ask for an appraisal. Now, if they do get an appraisal, you should be entering that appraisal into your CRM, because it doesn't just stop there. They might not necessarily list with you straight away. So again, you can have another workflow for appraisals completed. And then again, you're getting to the nitty-gritty of maybe securing this client. And we might have more hard-hitting communications or something that's going to lead them to signing an agreement quicker. Once that happens, the appraisal in the system can then be converted to a listing, and then we start the leasing process. So by doing all of that in your CRM, it saves an awful lot of time and effort. You've got all the information in one spot, and system is taking care of this person for you through that whole process.
The thing you just want to make sure is that you've got your email marketing set up so that it's automated where it needs to be. It's personalized, because all CRMs have that personalization capacity, that it's trackable. And again, if you're using your CRM, it will be trackable and scalable. And this is what I love about marketing emails, because it's one to many. So it is scalable. That's what you're wanting to focus on. So we're going to jump in to, sorry, Trevor, I think, did I interrupt you there?
No, not at all.
Oh, I thought I might have for a moment. We're going to move into Q&A, because I know that we've got a bunch of questions. For those of you who want to hang back so that we can answer some questions, I've also got some questions that were submitted prior to the webinar from people who are going to only catch the replay. So we're going to answer them for you now. So feel free to drop them into the chat. If you can't hang around, that's okay too. What I am going to do is just also give you our contact details, because if you either don't currently have a decent CRM, or you're not happy with the way your CRM is performing, then you probably want to have a chat with Trevor and maybe get a demo of Phoenix. And certainly if you don't have time to write your own emails and you want our team to do it for you, then we'd love to book a call with you to talk about writing your emails for you. So I'm just going to drop that in the chat. You can either scan the QR code if you want to talk to one of us, or you can click the link in the chat. But we might jump into some Q&A, if that's all right, Trev.
Definitely.
Ashley has asked about, and Ashley might not be here with us at the moment, what is considered a good open rate? I've got some just basic wider industry knowledge. Trevor, you'll probably have some really specific knowledge around that. Certainly from what I've seen, generic marketing emails, if you can get a 30 to 40% open rate to your general database, that's a pretty good open rate. And so that's what we'd always be hoping for. Trevor, do you have some more specific info on that?
Well, yeah, it does come down to your list as well on how engaged they are. And a big topic is, are those people opted in? Like, did they specifically request? So if you're got a nice clean list of people who have given you specific permission to email them, then yes, you will get 40% open rates. If you've borrowed a list from somewhere, or if you've curated a list and you haven't sought permission from those people to communicate with them, you're probably looking at about 20% and lower. And open rates are also dictated by the size of the list as well. So smaller lists will get a higher open rate, a larger list will tend to have a smaller open rate based on that. But again, it all does come back to your subject line as well, will dictate the success of the open rate.
Sure does. And I think people get to know the sender as well. So if people see that it's your name appearing in their inbox and they like the stuff you send, then you've got a higher chance of an open rate regardless of the subject line. So people will get to know you in the same way that they get to know you via your social media content as well. So I've got another question, Trevor, that was submitted beforehand. For those of you who are live, you're welcome to drop questions in the chat. Is there a best time of day to send landlord emails? Do you have an opinion on this?
I do have an opinion, and it normally goes against the grain. And many years ago, someone at a real estate conference told everyone that Thursday mornings at 10 o'clock was the best time to send emails. Now, my philosophy is to stay away from the crowds. So if every single real estate agent sending out their emails at 10 o'clock on a Thursday morning, then we should really stay away from them. I try to think about my own behavior, my own activity. So normally if I'm going to read something that that's of interest to me and I've got time to do it, I do a Sunday morning send, to be honest. That's when I'm reading the paper. I know of a couple of industry people that are very good at what they do, and they send their emails at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning, and I subscribe to them. So I think the key point is stay away from the herd. Try and do something a little bit different, and yeah, maybe try and avoid those peak periods. Yeah.
Something I've noticed is that for me, and certainly my database, if you have the majority of your email addresses in your database are work email addresses, what I find is it's best to avoid times of the day that people might be just desperately trying to clear their inbox. So I don't generally send an email. I did this morning. I sent an email at 8 a.m. to remind some of my database about this very webinar. I would not usually do that because I know that my audience, those of you who are joining us today, I know that when you get into your inbox first thing in the morning, you're going to do what you can to clear out as many emails as possible. And so I know that there's a fair chance my email is going to be in that group. So I tend to send towards the middle of the day if I'm wanting to send during a business day, because my audience are mostly business email addresses. You might notice a similar thing with your landlord database. You might either have majority business email addresses or majority personal email addresses. So that might be something to consider as well.
And you can do what's called A/B testing, or just simple testing. Send one during a period where you think it's the right time to send, and then maybe go the opposite, send it at a different time, and then compare. Like we mentioned, do a spreadsheet, look at the numbers, and then you'll know that, okay, well, the second one works better. I'm going to continue doing it at that day and time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of, you can continue to test that. Like every 12 months or so, you might go, oh, I might just A/B test again and just see if that time is still the optimal time for sending emails. So I've got a question about, can I automate newsletters and auto responses together? I'm assuming that means, can I like automate maybe my monthly newsletter to go out, but also maybe those triggered auto responses? And Trevor, that's something in your domain.
Monthly newsletter could be automated. However, you would have to probably make the lead article or something specific to that time of year. So for investors and, you know, the end of the financial year, depreciation, that type of thing, you could do it. I'd probably not recommend doing that. I'd probably set up automated templates or campaigns for something that's more generic, but something that's monthly. Things could happen. There could be events, or, you know, and normally what you'd want to do in those types of campaigns is include some of your recent successes, maybe a testimonial or a listing or a lease property, you know. So those things haven't happened yet, and, you know, it's probably easy to just do it at that month when that newsletter is about to go out. This gives you a bit more flexibility, I think.
I tend to agree. Most of our clients have like their automated responses all set up so that if someone downloads their, you know, investor insight report, there's some follow-up that happens automatically after that. But then we do their monthly email and we load it into their CRM, and they send it kind of manually to the list that they want to send it to that month. So yeah, I tend to agree with you.
Yeah, and anything property related could be automated. So inspection reminders, thank you for attending inspections, inquiries, even little ones like appraisal confirmations, things like that could be definitely automated and set up, ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got another question about deliverability and open rates as my database gets bigger. So how do I, because I think you mentioned, Trevor, the bigger your database, kind of
Yeah,
the lower your open rate. The smaller
correct.
your database, the larger your open rate. Do you have any recommendations around how to optimize your open rate even as your database grows?
Well, then it'd be segmenting, definitely. So doing specific campaigns to those groups or segments, so that the message is more relevant rather than being generic and open to try and suit everybody. That would definitely help your open rates as your list grows, because not
Yeah.
everyone is the same.
Something we do in our business is we also run like a list cleaning campaign. So we have a process so that anyone who has not opened an email from me in the last 60 days, 30 days, one of those, they get an email from me saying, I've noticed that you haven't opened my emails in a while. I'm going to stop emailing you. And it's just kind of a courtesy to say, I'm about to remove you from my database. Not remove you, but stop sending you those emails.
Yeah.
Sometimes that re-engages people. Actually, re-engages people quite often. People reply to it and go, oh, no, 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 don't remove me from your database. I like getting your emails. I'm just sometimes slow to
Yeah.
read them all. But it also means that we are actively removing people from the list that we are emailing on a weekly, fortnightly, monthly basis. So it does mean that your database sort of shrinks in there, but it means that your open rate can improve because you're sending it to fewer people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Lorraine has just dropped in a question. What are the top
I
three
saw
things
that.
we should do to quickly see results this week, next week, please? That is an awesome question. Do
Okay.
you have some,
Well,
Trevor?
yeah, why not? Okay. Find a list of prospective landlords and send them, if you don't have a resource that they can download, maybe just send them a quick little email saying the market's changed. Would you be interested in a review of your rent? Something like that with a link to your appraisal form. That's one thing I'd definitely do. As an extension of that, anyone that opens that email a certain number of times or definitely clicks but doesn't fill in the form, I would be calling those people and just seeing how they're going, where they're at. And a third thing, I would start to look at your data, just start to check your groupings, check the numbers you've got in there, and maybe even just start planning one or two campaigns to start this month. Don't go all out with the five that we mentioned. Maybe pick one, maybe two of those, and or even talk to Ellen, about some sort of strategy you can employ moving forward to just getting that email marketing campaign going.
Trevor, you've almost taken the words out of my mouth. Yeah, as to the three things that I would do a similar thing. The first thing I would do is if I have not emailed my database in a while, I would send a short but sweet email to whatever database I was planning on re-engaging. And it would be short, sweet, and either asking a very specific question to try and get them to respond to me or giving them something valuable like a downloadable resource to try and get them to click so that I can start to see who on my database will start to engage once we start a campaign. So that's what I do. And I would make that short and sweet. It would just be a little, hi name. I know you were looking at buying an investment property. Are you still in the market?
Yeah. Yeah.
See if you can get some responses. Google the 9-word email by Dean Jackson.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's a real estate guy. The 9-word email works great for re-engaging. I would not probably send that to an entire database. It's really good for just sending it either one-on-one to people who haven't got back to you or sending it to a small selection of a database. Don't go sending it to 10,000 people. Just doesn't seem to work quite as well. But yeah, I would send something short and sweet. I would do, as Trevor said, I would plan what you're going to do for the next quarter and just go, we are absolutely committed to at least one value-driven email a month. So if you're not sending value-driven emails, whether that's, you know, a teaser and a link to your latest blog article, some useful information that can be consumed inside the email itself, a newsletter, but something that's not just listings focused, I would make sure that you've got some sort of value-driven email for the next 3 months. Re-engage your database, and as Trevor said, look at your data so that you're segmenting, cleaning it up, so that you're getting rid of email addresses that are not active, that have hard bounced. Just clean that data.
Definitely, yeah. I just had a thought too, Ellen. One of my most successful campaigns was where I used sorry and their first name in the subject line, and people, you know, what's this guy got to be sorry about? And then I said, it's been a while since I've spoken to you, or something like that, and it ties in with the subject line, but it got a huge response, a great open rate on that one. So feel free to use that one, people, if you haven't engaged with your database in a while. It'll work well.
We often do that when we onboard a new client. One of the things that we always do with our clients is we always include in all of their plans at least one email per month that we will load into your CRM. And quite often, as we're doing the onboarding process, I will ask, when was the last time you sent a value-driven email to your database? And if it's been more than a couple of months, I always say, you need to send just a little, hey, it's me, I'm about to start emailing you again, just so that they know stuff is coming. And using your sorry first name, Trevor, what a great way to get your database engaged again and either replying, interacting, or even unsubscribing. I know that can feel really icky when someone unsubscribes, but it helps to clean up your data, which helps to improve your open rates and your deliverability elsewhere. So if they're not going to read it, you kind of want them to unsubscribe.
Definitely.
But yeah, I love the idea of re-engage first in some way, send the sorry email, and then start your value-driven emails, whether it's a newsletter, whether it's like a blog focused email like we do. That's probably what we do. I think that's looking like all of the questions for now, Trevor. Thank you so much to those of you who have been with us live. It's been a pleasure to have you. If you think of follow-up questions that you want to ask Trevor or myself, our email addresses are there. You can flick through it and email to either of us and go, I forgot to ask this on the webinar, and we'd be really happy to help you. So thank you so much for joining us today, Trevor. You've brought some awesome insight from inside the CRM world.
Thank you very much, Ellen. It was great. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We will see you for the next one, and we'll be sure to send out a replay of this once it's all done. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.